Let's hear from a former Bronco because that's the Texans' next opponent. The Broncos were very impressive on Sunday afternoon. They turned over Dak Prescott. They did whatever they wanted to offensively. Big number for them. They took apart the Cowboys with Jim Nance and Tony Romo in attendance, and now they come in feeling really good about themselves. We got a good defense here, continuing to shut down opponents. Broncos are maybe a different beast, particularly if you were impressed with them on Sunday afternoon. But if you go by what Justin Simmons, the former Broncos, said, don't really take into account what you saw because the Cowboys are pretty bad.
Call a spade a spade. That has to be one of the worst defenses I've seen. I think this season, it just is what it is as a defensive guy, like unsound in the gaps, just not playing with good eyes, not playing in good leverage. And when you're a good offense and you take the realm of that, you're supposed to make that defense look like that. I think Sean even said that, right? It's just like they're one of the worst defenses in the league, and we're gonna make sure that this stays that way.
I don't know if Sean Payton said that exactly. It would be pretty inflammatory, maybe even more inflammatory than what he got out there about not wanting to face Jackson Dart that led Russell Wilson to pop back at him. But yeah, the Cowboys are bad. So the Broncos are feeling pretty good, but it's almost like what the Texans did to the Ravens. The Cowboys are on that level of being terrible. It's just a game that I'm not going to take into account as far as what the Texans are going to face because we know Texans really good defense. They aren't as unsound as the Cowboys are, particularly with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who now has another job. He's a Bear now. With him out of the way, the big plays have kind of ceased, and as long as they do their jobs, I don't foresee Bo Nix having a big day. Not to say they won't win that game, the Broncos, because they are on a historic pace defensively. We talk about who they are as an offense. Defensively, they are well out ahead when it comes to sacking the quarterback, and they're at a point where they can be discussed as maybe the best team getting the quarterback on the ground of all time. They've got 36 sacks this year, and they also are best at avoiding sacks, but they're on a pace to make history when it comes to sacking the quarterback. So it is the exact opposite of what we saw on Sunday against the 49ers, who've already made a trade to acquire a pass rusher. They picked up Keon White from the Patriots, who the Patriots have no use for. So the 49ers are looking for answers. It appears the Broncos have all the answers when it comes to getting after the quarterback. So this will be another in the line of you're now facing another team who can pick at your weaknesses and not just pick at them, completely exploit them. So will they mitigate some of that pass rush by 6 offensive linemen? Is this a game where Blake Fisher and a snap count rises even higher to try to avoid a situation where you're one-on-one with your tackles against Cooper and Benito? That is what I'm out to watch on Sunday. I generally do watch games that way anyway. If I can get a sense that the quarterback, no matter if it's the NFL or college, is going to have a tough time simply sitting in the pocket, you kind of feel like you know how the game's going. So I won't even really be watching, at least to start, CJ. I'll be watching their tackles, and in passing situations, do your tackles hold up? Erstreek is coming off a really good game. But once again, the 49ers had little in the way of pass rushing. So when you see Cooper and Benito out there and some of the blitzes that the Texans handled well against the 49ers, when you see a better defense and a defense who can certainly get to you with 4, you might know very early how the game's going to go, particularly if the Texans can't run the football, which they did really well against the 49ers. It'll just be different. You're facing not only one of the better defenses in the league, but as a team overall. The Broncos are 5-2. They kind of are where you want to be. You wish you got off to the good start that they have, and not that they're playing with house money, but that's a confident team that's going to come in. They are without Patrick Surtain. We talked about that yesterday. That is a benefit to you, but Bo Nix doesn't get sacked, and they sack the quarterback. That's a good formula. If we're thinking about it, is this the best team they face all year? Like the Rams are good. That was in week 1, so everyone's working things out. The Bucks came in here.
It was pretty healthy Bucks.
Yes, that was a healthy Bucks team. But when you combine, well, the Bucks got hurt in game because Charlie Heck wound up playing tackle.
That is true.
So that and they were already moving guys around, so their offensive line was certainly compromised. When you consider health, of course, Surtain gone, so that plays a part. I think this might be the best team they've played all year. Yeah. Particularly what the Texans aren't good at and what the other team can do to exploit what they're not good at.
That's what I was going to say. They might be like the worst matchup.
Yeah.
And like they're in the same, I would say they're of the same like caliber of, especially the first 2 games, the Bucks and the Rams.
But
I think they're specifically set up to agree. Like give what the Texans are bad at a hard time.
Yeah, the Bucks had one pass rusher, and it's like Hassan Reddick, who's an older player. Vita Vea, of course, great interior defensive lineman. But yeah, the Rams, that line with Verse and the rest.
Yeah,
you can very well comp that to what the Broncos are bringing to the table.
Yeah, I mean Benito's he's probably the best. Yeah, he's definitely the best pass rusher that they've played this year. Maybe Hines Allen from Jacksonville. That's about it. That's the list.
He had a day.
Yeah. So
the Texans.
So I think that even without Pat Surtain, I mean with if Pat Surtain was in there, like this would be a tough watch. I might be watching this between my fingers on Sunday. Okay. But without Surtain, and we'll see on Nico, but I think that they do have a chance to do what they did last week and get the ball out fast. It's going to be a lot of 9-10 play scoring drives if you are scoring. Like that is going to be, I think, the formula. It's really like, okay, last week, good job doing what you did to overcome your line. Stroud doesn't get sacked. You move the ball well. Perfect. Now let's do it against one of the best defenses in the league and see how that works out. That to me is the test for the Texans.
Yeah, Nick Benito comes in with 8 sacks. Jonathan Cooper with 6, so a couple of the top pass rushers in the league. It'll be a test of Nick Caley and that offensive line to see if what we saw against San Fran is sustainable, or is it strictly based off the opponent, which is something we've talked about quite a bit. Are they sustainable, or at least what they're doing, is it sustainable, or are we just simply waiting for the next opponent to test all their weaknesses and exploit them? That is a matchup I'm extremely focused on, and if they can hold up, particularly early, and allow CJ to even get the quick passing game going, then you might really have something as far as not only just competing, but I don't know that there's anyone other than the Broncos that can test them in that way the rest of the way. Like the Colts, which, of course, a complete team as far as being a good one. They don't really have the pass rushers. I'm trying to just think of the schedule going forward.
Bills, Chiefs don't really – I mean, they're really good teams, but they don't have
these
kind
elite
of
edge pass rushers. So this may be at least –
the Raiders with Max Crosby.
Sure. That is one, yeah. The near future – maybe your toughest test as far as trying to keep guys away from your quarterback. So
when you play the Jags again next.
Yeah. I hope there's an improvement since then because he closed the game out by getting a CJ and deflecting what could have been a touchdown or at least a big completion as they were trying to tie that game. So we know how elite pass rushers have affected the Texans' chances to win. Now they just got to see 2 of them. I don't think they've seen 2 of them in a game yet so far.
No, I mean, the Rams would be with Verse and the boys would be like if Verse and whoever his co-star was, that play, whether it's Young, whether it's Fisk, I mean, that one was
But
bad.
Flat out edge guys,
no.
This is going to be tough. It's going to be on, I won't even say it's going to be on Ursery and Howard. It'll be a team effort, whether it be play calls or CJ getting the ball out quick to those wide receivers because he's recognizing this is not a situation where you want to hold the ball very long. So
to me, they're so overmatched that you're right. It's not on the tackles. It's actually on.
Yeah, you go in knowing.
It's on Caley and the quarterback to a certain extent.
You go in knowing that if you are leaning on your tackles to get the job done, you're asking for a disaster. that can't be it. Whether you're chipping, whether you're keeping a 6 offensive lineman, and whatever it is, the game plan has to be Cooper and Benito don't determine the outcome. They'll make their plays because they're very good players, but they cannot wreck this game early. Or no matter how good the Texans' defense is, I think the Broncos' offense is good enough if they're coupled with a defensive front that keeps the Texans from operating. I think that's a combination where the Broncos come in here and win. Now the Texans are now a favorite. They opened up as a dog. That has flipped to them being a favorite. So the money so far coming in on the Texans.
What does Vegas know?
I have no idea. I have no idea what they know. But we got days to prepare. And you know what would help if Nico's available? We'll see if he's back out there at practice. That would certainly be a boost. Maybe that's what they know. Maybe that's what they know, that Nico's going to play. We'll see.